Welcome to Allowed to Talk, and the sun is beautiful today. It's like 70 degrees here, and it's a beautiful day, 3 Sundays before Christmas here in the United States, and I'm in the Midwest area, and just want to talk today. Like, I'm allowed to talk, as the show's title is. You're allowed to talk. I want to try flipping the screen around to see if I can focus in my dog who's sitting right in front of me. But I don't know how to do that. I'm afraid if I touch something, I'm going to mess it up. But I'm going to try. Let's try it. Doesn't hurt to try. Well, she's barking at somebody. I pressed a button of some kind, but that didn't turn it around. What's up, girl? Who is it? Is it Dad? I think it's my husband coming through. I hope anyway. Let's go check. It's a mystery show today. You're allowed to talk. Is that you, Tim? I think it's my husband. He went down. Oh, it's him. It's just my husband. Okay. Back to the show. Allowed to talk. Okay? And my dog's in the yard too. I couldn't flip it around. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It is a smartphone, but it's not the best. Let's say that. It's a good phone, but it's not the best phone that does everything. Or maybe it's operator headspace. And that's quite possible. So what I want to talk about today is agony. In the Bible, it talks about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane? It's hard to say, Gethsemane. And he was in agony in prayer that he sweated drops of blood. And today at church, the preacher, whom I love dearly, our preacher, our senior pastor, preached about the experiences we go through. There's valleys when it's low, and then there's mountaintop highs. And it's easy to trust God and worship and praise Him when we're in the mountaintop experiences. But in those valley experiences like agony, anguish, suffering, pain, the loss of a loved one, and a lady from our church. She's probably a little younger than me, but not that much younger than me because her children are adults. Her son and her daughter go to our church. But which I didn't know about her until today when she gave the testimony, they had a video of it, that she lost a daughter 5 years ago, the day after Thanksgiving. The daughter had heart trouble all her life, but there were miracles throughout. And she lived to be older, but then she tried another surgery, and then the day after Thanksgiving, she passed away. And it was so sad and heart-wrenching, and I had compassion and empathy for her. It wasn't like sentimental, because she knows the lady. She knows her daughter. I didn't know her daughter, but I feel for her. I feel for anyone going through agony and anguish. But when we take communion, Jesus said, when you do this, remember me and my death. So remember that there is death, but what Jesus came as a person in our kind of body to experience the death, that he died, and then he defeated death. There is no victory in it. That doesn't make it any less sad, or that you weep uncontrollably, weep bitterly about it, and all of us have that. And then there's people who don't have that, except it's about themselves, and they treat other people like objects. And that's another video. I always say this because it's unbelievable to me, and I didn't know as a growing up child person that there were people like that. But you live and learn too. So, agony. It was alone that Jesus prayed in dark Gethsemane. It was alone he prayed, and he sweat drops of blood. And I think my dog here wants to play frisbee some more, so I'm going to go soon. But he said about when you're on the mountaintop, it's easy to worship. But when you're in those valleys of low, hard, grieving, agony times where you weep uncontrollably, but God will provide. Nothing can separate us from God's love. And Satan is the father of lies, and he wants us destroyed. He convinced a third of God's messengers that he was better than God. And God created the devil, and he gave him free will. He gave us free will to live the way we choose. But worshiping God and loving him and as our creator is the most important thing, because our eternity is in God's presence. I keep looking at the notes I wrote down from the sermon. So that's why I'm looking down. And nothing can separate us, and God will provide. He has provision for us. And when you're in those low valleys, God provides the strength, the power that you need. You can't do it on your own. I said this on another video. He provides the way out of all temptation. And believe me, God knows that we need provision, that we need to be provided out of temptations of what you think you want, or the temptations you go through, like thinking it even in your mind that you are going to do something wrong and you know it's wrong and you're convicted. And those people who have no conscience and they have no remorse for anything, or I don't know if they're possessed by a demon or if there's some kind of mental health issue and they'll go to heaven by default. I don't know that answer. But agony is what I wanted to talk about. Sometimes I anguish about that I don't really talk to my sisters right now. And I said it's hopeless that we'll probably never reunite or get along again. But I don't think it's hopeless with Christ, because we're Christians and churchgoers, if you want to say it like that. We're Christians, and all things will be possible through Christ's strength, through Him alone. And I believe it can happen. And if they're watching this, if any of them, or whoever follows me or watches, I know that it's possible through Christ for us to reconcile. And I'm afraid, I'm scared to death. Scared because I know as a Christian I shouldn't worry or be scared. I should have no fear through Christ to speak up and defend Christ. But I still am in this flesh, not perfect. And practice makes progress, but practice does not make perfection. And I know I'll slip up and I can be tempted and convinced that my screaming or calling them four-letter words would be the answer, when it's not. And sometimes sisters or brothers and sisters or siblings don't want to take any responsibility. And that's okay too. But I know that through our agony, through our anguishing, through the valleys of heartache and bad times, that God is there and His strength will carry us through. And my dog is kissing me to go play frisbee. So I hope you're having a wonderful day.